Good morning, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you live coverage of President Trump's press conference on crime and beautification in Washington, D.C. He is expected to announce new policies to reduce crime in D.C., and it is being widely reported that he could deploy the National Guard to D.C. during his press conference, which starts in 57 minutes and 30 seconds. So we are going to be bringing you live coverage of this press conference coming up, and then we're going to talk about it after, and we're going to be taking your comments and questions on the air. But live coverage coming up in less than an hour of this press conference. Wow. So I appreciate you being with us. Thank you to our moderators who are here. We have Janet B. and Carms over there on YouTube. Thank you. Donnie Davio is over there, and Janet B. on YouTube. Thank you. On X, Linda Bell, Glary, Misha moderate for us on Twitch. Thanks to our mods over there and our Facebook mods too. Hang on a moment here. Give me a moment. Just a moment. Hey, thanks Carol Campbell for being a member over there on YouTube. Kay Lowry, Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, Margaret Riley moderating on Facebook. Look what President Trump said on Truth Social today. 52 minutes ago, Trump said, Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border, 0 illegals in last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. He also said, Liberation Day in D.C., we are taking our capital back. And then over the weekend, he talked about removing homeless people from D.C. Over the weekend, he said, this was yesterday. Yesterday, he said, we're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. That'll be today. I'm going to make our capital safer and safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring into 0 the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Which, again, that implies that they're going to forcibly transfer homeless people out of Washington, D.C., which I do not know if that's legal. I can't imagine the people who are homeless would be expected to get to this place far from the capital by themselves. So we'll have to see what he announces about that as well. "53 minutes and 36 seconds until this press conference. We are going to bring you live coverage. What is going to happen? What's he going to announce? Is he going to announce the National Guard? You can see this headline here. Oops. Let me take some comments from you. Washington Post headline, Trump readies federal moves on D.C. crime, may deploy National Guard. Um, Context Clueless says some of the homeless people are veterans. Junior Jackson says, I love this president. No one has the set he does. One of our viewers said, today is going to be crazy. Mike Patrek. Omar Rar Vanderbunny says he's going to concentrate them into camps. Thank you to Ermi T for the gift memberships. I appreciate that, Ermi T. Barbara Newhoff says crime in Washington, D.C. has been dropping. This is just to distract from the Epstein files. Sergio Garcia says that some of the homeless people are war veterans. Kim Bragdon says, wonder where they will go. Okay. Oh, thank you, by the way, also. I appreciate that to Mousecatales. Thanks for the memberships. That's very nice of you. Make sure you thank somebody if they give you a membership or a gift subscription. Thanks also, Dark Crypto 800 over there on Twitch for your support. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. Hey, let me show you this article. This is from today, Washington Post. Trump readies federal moves on D.C. crime, may deploy National Guard. President Trump planned today to flex his significant law enforcement power over Washington, declaring that he would clear the city of homeless people and crack down on crime. He may call up the National Guard, according to one official familiar with the matter. By the way, multiple reports say that President Trump is preparing to call up the National Guard. Last night, WUSA, which is CBS in Washington, D.C., reported that he was going to do it. Are they still reporting that? Yes. WUSA TV is saying Trump expected to deploy National Guard to patrol the district. According to multiple sources in Mayor Bowser's camp and within the Metropolitan Police Department, they are saying President Trump will definitely deploy the National Guard throughout the district, and they said the announcement is expected to happen today during the press conference. That's according to WUSA 9, by the way. The Post says Trump will announce additional federal moves at a White House news conference at 10 a.m., he said on social media. The decision comes as the administration has already mobilized FBI agents in recent days in overnight shifts to help local law enforcement prevent carjackings and violent crime in the city, officials said. So the Washington Post reported yesterday that the Trump administration has been having FBI agents do overnight shifts to help local law enforcement. The Post says Trump has portrayed crime in the nation's capital as out of control, although D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser disputes that characterization, noting that violent crime has declined for the last 2 years after a sharp post-pandemic spike in 2023. The Post also points out Trump has repeatedly complained about crime in Washington and the city's homeless population. But he appears to have been spurred to further action in recent days by an assault on a former U.S. DOJ service staffer who was injured in an alleged carjacking, I think about a week ago. Soon after the attack, D.C. police arrested a 15-year-old boy and girl from Maryland and charged them with unarmed carjacking of Edward Corristine, who was also known by the nickname, this is true, Big Balls. Trump last week posted an apparent image of Corristine smeared in blood, sitting shirtless on the ground, warning that if D.C. doesn't get its act together and quickly, we will have no choice but to take federal control of the city. City leaders have disputed Trump's characterization of crime in Washington, saying the nation's capital is safer than it was a year ago. According to D.C. police data, violent crime is down 26% compared with this time in 2024. Homicides are down 12%. Again, now there is this. I have no idea how much that carjacking of the Doge staffer spurred what President Trump is going to do today. That's an interesting question. The Washington Post also reports that the Trump administration has not consulted with the D.C. Police Department, the chief law enforcement agency responsible for policing local crime, about how to best deploy federal resources, said a senior official with the department. If the National Guard is deployed, they say, it would be another example of the president's increasing use of U.S. military forces to carry out his objectives on American soil. An approach that has been used only sparingly over history and which has spurred concerns of over-militarization. So, are we going to see, what is he going to announce today? What's he going to announce exactly? Is he going to announce National Guard troops to D.C.? Is he going to announce, as he suggested he would on social media, some kind of policy whereby homeless people have to get out of D.C.? Is that even legal? I don't know. He suggested he was going to do that. Is he going to announce other things? I have no idea. We'll have to see. I want to take some comments from you guys. We'll see what you think. You can see this headline from Reuters. Trump escalates crime rhetoric ahead of Washington crackdown announcement. Oh, give me 1 second here. Our viewer, the Ringa X, pointed out that Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, said the patriotic men and women of ICE and Sea and Customs and Border Patrol have been deployed to help clean up the streets of our nation's capital. So in recent days, federal law enforcement agencies have been sending people to help local law enforcement. I think that's what she's talking about. I don't think that's a new thing today. I will show you something about that. So, for example, the Washington Post had this from yesterday. The FBI has begun dispatching about 120 of its agents in overnight shifts to help local law enforcement prevent carjackings and violent crime in Washington, according to two people familiar with the matter. I believe I read NBC News last night reported that there were a lot of different federal agencies who were contributing personnel to this recently started initiative of having federal personnel help local law enforcement. See if I can find that. Yeah, so like NBC News said, in recent days, Trump has boosted the federal law enforcement presence in D.C. with hundreds of personnel deployed across the city over the weekend. According to NBC, Trump has the authority to take over the local police, but to mount a full federal takeover of the city, Congress would need to repeal the 1973 Home Rule Act. That's what NBC News says. Press conference coming up. 43 minutes, guys. 43 minutes. We're going to have it live for you. Quick thanks to Joseph D. Thank you, Joseph. Tomfoolery says just move everyone out of D.C. so nobody lives there. Problem solved. Merge says yet another distraction from the Epstein files. Chris Bartell says it's time to clean up America. Julie says just more lawsuits to come. I wonder if anything he announced today will be challenged in court. Sinzar says, I can't believe there are Americans who believe in what this administration is doing so un-American. Smiley Z says, I voted for all of this. Let's do a poll. Will Trump deploy National Guard to D.C. today? We're going to ask if he's going to announce that. Will Trump announce National Guard to D.C. today? We're posting a poll. We're going to see what you have to say. Let me get it posted on Facebook. Oh, thanks to Susan Priest-Buchner for the Facebook stars. Thanks, Susan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, I'm posting this poll on. I have it on. Where is this here? What is this doing? Oh, I see. Hold on one second. In a second, I'll show you the. I will show you the. Sorry. I'll show you the poll results. I just need to get it posted here everywhere. Okay, good. I'm getting there. Hang on a moment. Facebook is taking forever. Facebook's taking forever. Done. Okay, I said to you guys, will President Trump today announce National Guard troops are heading to D.C.? Will he announce this today? Over on YouTube, the poll results are, right now, 85% say yes and 15% say no. Currently on Facebook, it is 80% yes and 20% no. And on Twitch, the current poll result is 83% yes. Well, I guess about 80% yes. You guys are pretty confident overall that Trump is going to announce National Guard to D.C. We'll see what happens. Thanks for voting in our poll. Reuters says President Trump has spent days escalating his rhetoric on crime in Washington, calling the U.S. Capitol totally out of control and ordering a federal law enforcement surge ahead of a Monday press conference to outline a sweeping crackdown. That press conference is in 39 minutes, by the way. We're going to have it live. On Sunday, Trump wrote on True Social, "The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong." The Democratic mayor of Washington, Muriel Bowser, pushed back on Trump's claims, saying the city is not experiencing a crime spike and highlighting that violent crime has fallen to a 30-year low. Trump called Bowser a good person who has tried, but said she's been given many chances while crime numbers continue to worsen. That's what Trump said. Reuters points out that according to police statistics, violent crime fell 26% in the first 7 months of 2025, and overall crime dropped 7%, but gun violence remains an issue. In 2023, Washington had the third highest gun homicide rate among U.S. cities, with populations over 500,000. Over the past week, Reuters said Trump has intensified his messaging, demanding the swift eviction of homeless residents and vowing to jail offenders. He has raised the prospect of stripping the city of its local autonomy and signaled a possible full federal takeover. The Trump administration is also preparing to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, a U.S. official told Reuters, a controversial tactic that Trump used recently in Los Angeles to respond to immigration protests over the objections of local officials. Reuters says Trump has not made a final decision on the National Guard. Reuters says the D.C., the District of Columbia, established in 1790, operates under the Home Rule Act, which gives Congress ultimate authority but allows residents to elect a mayor and city council. Trump said last week that lawyers are examining how to overturn the law, a move that would likely require Congress to revoke it and have him sign off. Will Trump just announce some sort of federal takeover of D.C. today? Whether or not it gets legally challenged, that's a whole other question. He called today Liberation Day. Trump has cited a recent assault on a federal staffer and viral videos of youth crime to argue the nation's capital is in crisis. The president's order last week to deploy more federal law enforcement also marks a major escalation. Officers from over a dozen agencies, including the FBI, ICE, DEA, and ATF, have already spread across D.C. to deal with local law enforcement. Regarding homeless people, the White House has not clarified what legal authority Trump would use to evict people from Washington, where he only controls federal land and buildings. Dirty Techie thinks none of this will end well. It's sad to see how it's all playing out. Paul Clemens says, good, D.C. is an embarrassment as our capital. 35 minutes and 38 seconds till the press conference, if it starts on time. Dingier Pillow says, just going to rant. Tommy thinks most of the crime stats are fabricated to make the police look good. Turned Off thinks that Trump will announce some sort of federal takeover kind of thing. Joel says, I voted for this. Bear Mom says he's scared. It's coming up. We're going to see what he does. We'll watch it ourselves and see. Fox News is also saying Trump considers deploying National Guard troops to D.C. Mark Ellis says the news is if he deploys Red State National Guard to D.C. Well, I believe he has control over the D.C. National Guard. Kim105 says, I think he's getting afraid of all the protests. Hey, thanks so much to our moderators who are here. Janet B. Over on YouTube, thank you. As we wait for this press conference. Carms, thank you. On YouTube. Over on Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, I got that fire, thank you. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. K. Lowry Body. Thanks for moderating, Margaret Riley. Christy Claff thinks this is an authoritarian move. Chuck Mosca, thanks for being a subscriber, Chuck. Chuck says, not hard to figure it out, hire more police. Kelly Terry Burgess says, I would like to see all areas cleaned up, but good luck with that. Oh, thanks, Susan Priest-Buchner, for the Facebook stars. Thank you, Susan. And thanks for subscribing, Susan. And also Mario Ayala. Thank you, Mario, for subscribing on Twitch. On Facebook, I'm sorry. And Kay and Margaret, too. Again, if you missed what Trump said on social media today, just a short while ago, here is what he has said. About an hour ago, Trump said Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border, 0 illegals in last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. He also said Liberation Day in D.C., we are taking our country back. Pew Peace thinks the majority of country voted for this. Jan Sue says this is what evil looks like. Beanie Weenie says, where does he plan to put on putting the people he wants to, quote, get rid of? Robin Hood says, calling human beings filth is unethical. Oh, thanks to Draven Zornok, who says, this isn't a new idea. My town had martial law enacted in the 1950s. Look up, is it Phoenix City, Alabama? I lived in Alabama for a year, kind of near there. I never made it to Phoenix City or Phoenix City. I have to look up how you pronounce that. It is... I don't even know. I don't know if it's Phoenix City or Phoenix City. There you go. President Trump is not talking about enacting martial law, by the way. I'm not going to get into this now, but if you want to read about it, you can read about declaration of martial law in Russell County, Alabama in 1954. Draven mentioned that. Martial law, says Wikipedia, is the replacement of civilian government by military rule and the suspension of civilian legal processes for military powers. That is not being talked about right now. Nick P. thinks that's where this is headed. Hey, thanks so much to Kristen Gates for your support. I really appreciate it. Kristen Gates, thank you. Sunny says, what city is next? I just want to show you this post again that he made yesterday about homeless people. He said, yesterday he said, we're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring into 0 the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thanks for your attention to this matter. Another post he recently made about this is this one. I think this was yesterday. On Monday, a press conference will be held at the White House, which will essentially stop violent crime in Washington, D.C. It has become one of the most dangerous cities anywhere in the world, he says. It will soon be one of the safest. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. Thanks to Marcus Plane Spotting Germany for being a member. Bruh on X says, let's send the homeless people to other places to pretend the problem doesn't exist. Tracy says, let's hope the homeless veterans get a nice residence. All right, let me see if I have any updates. By the way, real quick, Adam Classfield of All Rise News, who I follow for legal reports, legal news, he says that a federal judge has denied the Trump DOJ's motion to unseal Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records. Now, I don't know if that can be appealed. I have no idea. But if I get more on that, I'll let you know. 26 minutes and 42 seconds until the Trump press conference. What is he going to announce about D.C.? What is he going to say? Is he going to announce National Guard troops are being deployed to D.C.? We will have to see. The New York Times is reporting that President Trump was expected to announce at the news conference that up to several hundred D.C. National Guard personnel will be sent to D.C. to support local law enforcement. So again, the New York Times is saying that Trump will announce up to several hundred National Guard troops being sent to D.C. That's according to the New York Times. That's what they're reporting right now. Just so you know. Just so you know. Oops. We'll find out in about 25 minutes. Oh my gosh. Hopefully I'll get some early video from the press conference scene. There's also supposed to be a group holding a protest during Trump's press conference. Maybe we'll watch some of that after. Hopefully I should be getting some video a little early of the press conference room. As soon as I have anything, I will show it to you. Ooh, let me do this real quick. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just do something real quick here. Okay. Yeah, so as soon as I have any video, I'll go to it. If I get video of the room early, I will go to it. Thanks to Sino for your support. Thanks sevenfold for your support. Sevenfold 777 and Christine Axsmith. Christine says, I live in D.C. The crime panic is BS. The 90s were much worse. Sevenfold says, every single homeless citizen has a personal story of tragedy that leads to those circumstances, Trump. Thanks, Hamter Krupke, for watching. What do you guys think is going to happen in this press conference? What is going to happen? I'm reading some of your comments on the air, some of your predictions. Yeah, I can only use the feeds that I have access to. So when my feeds have a shot of the room, I will certainly put it up on the screen for you. Probably in a few minutes, hopefully. Hampter says it's cleanup time. Lori Murphy says, isn't this just a solution looking for a problem? You can see here AP says, President Trump is promising new steps to tackle homelessness and crime in Washington, prompting the city's mayor to voice concerns about the potential use of the National Guard to patrol the streets in the nation's capital, which a number of outlets say President Trump's going to announce shortly, today. Trump wrote on social media that he would hold a White House news conference today, coming up in 22 minutes, to discuss his plans to make D.C. more safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. Ahead of the news conference, Trump wrote that today that the nation's capital would be liberated today. He said he would end the days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people. AP says for Trump, the effort to take over public safety in Washington reflects a next step in his law enforcement agenda after his aggressive push to stop illegal border crossings. But the move also comes as he has sought to consolidate more of society's power under the White House in ways that raise fundamental questions about how the federal government will interact with its state and local counterparts. Trump, in a social media post yesterday, had emphasized the removal of Washington's homeless population, though it was unclear where the thousands of people would go. He said yesterday, the homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. Last week, President Trump directed federal law enforcement agencies to increase their presence in Washington for 7 days, with the option to extend as needed. On Friday night, federal agencies, including the Secret Service, the FBI, and the U.S. Marshals Service, assigned more than 120 officers and agents to assist in Washington. Trump said last week he was considering ways for the federal government to seize control of Washington, asserting that crime was ridiculous and the city was unsafe after the recent assault of a high-profile member of the Department of Government Efficiency. The moves Trump said he was considering included bringing in the D.C. National Guard. Mayor Muriel Bowser, a Democrat, questioned the effectiveness of using the National Guard to enforce city laws, and said the federal government could be far more helpful by funding more prosecutors or filling the 15 vacancies on the D.C. Superior Court, some of which have been open for years. Mayor Bowser also noted that violent crime in Washington has decreased since a rise in 2023, according to police statistics. Police statistics show homicides, robberies, and burglaries are down this year when compared with this time in 2024. Overall violent crime is down 26% compared with this time a year ago. Trump offered no details in Truth Social post this weekend about possible new actions that he's going to announce in minutes to address crime levels he argues are dangerous for citizens, tourists, and workers alike. The White House declined to offer additional details about today's announcement. The police department and the mayor's office did not respond to questions about what Trump might do next. What's he going to do? The AP says Trump seems to have been set off by an attack on Edward Korestein, among the most visible figures of the bureaucracy-cutting effort known as DOGE. Police arrested two 15-year-olds in the attempted carjacking and said they were looking for others. AP also says Trump has repeatedly suggested that the rule of Washington could be returned to federal authorities. Doing so would require a repeal of the Home Rule Act of 1973 in Congress, a step Trump said lawyers are examining. It could face steep pushback. What is he going to announce today? That is Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C. I wonder if she'll speak after Trump speak at her own press conference or something. I don't know. Like if Trump announces these big initiatives, will Mayor Bowser say something after? I wouldn't be surprised if we heard from her after. Not at the same event, though. About 17 minutes, guys. About 17 minutes until this press conference. We're going to be carrying it live. Hamter says, can't wait to see what he will say. Neff C says, guess we will see. I have video from the room. I already have video of the room. I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to put video on the screen for you from AFP of the room. Hang on a moment, guys. Let me get this on the screen for you. Here it comes. I have the room. Hey, look, I'm going to do my live. Can I do the live? Well, that's not working. My special graphics for the moment are not working properly. Let me see if I can do this here. Try it. Let's see. Anyways, it's not a big deal. But the video is the one point thing. Let me put up the video on the screen. Oh my gosh, it's the White House. Look. Oh wait, that's not. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. There it is. Oh my gosh, there's the room. There is the room. Guys, via AFP. We're looking at the press briefing room. That's where it's going to be. Wow. What I'll probably do is when it actually starts, I'll probably switch to the official White House feed is not posted at the moment, but sometimes I switch to that because sometimes it'll have a better audience angles if he takes questions. So if the press conference starts and you see the angle shift a bit, that's me switching to a different angle. But I'm guessing he might take questions too. We'll see. Wow. Murph thinks that the carjacking of the Doge staffer was a clear setup? Got about 14 minutes, guys. About 14 minutes. Is he going to announce the National Guard to D.C.? The New York Times is reporting that he is expected to announce up to several hundred National Guard troops to D.C. Tom Winter of NBC News reports that the federal judge overseeing the docket in the Ghislaine Maxwell case says he is not going to unseal grand jury records in the case because almost all of the grand jury material came out at her trial. He also says nothing in the transcripts identifies anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell as having sexual contact with minors. So just passing that along. Yes, so the a judge has denied the Trump administration's bid to unseal Jeffrey Epstein grand jury material. That's from Kyle Cheney. The judge said that, according to Kyle Cheney, the judge said that virtually nothing in that grand jury transcript isn't public already. The grand jury transcript isn't all the evidence the government has. It's just the transcript of the grand jury proceeding. Thanks to KC Veteran, our member. Thank you. As you look live at the White House. Hey, thanks, Jesse's girl. I really appreciate it. And Marvo Marverson, who says anything to distract from Epstein. Thanks, Napoleon Solo, who says this is to divert attention from Friday's abject capitulation to Putin in Alaska. I'm guessing we'll do coverage on Friday of the Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska. But that's in Alaska. Thank you, Evan Schulte. And Sino and Janet Kearns are a member. Also, Shaft, thank you. Thanks for the gift membership, Shafts. Did I thank UV? Thank you, UV. Thank you, Turned Off. Turned Off says, I wonder if DC will have protests today or this week. There's one protest scheduled for during the protest, during the press conference. I don't know how big that'll be. I'll keep an eye on it. I don't know if there'll be protests over National Guard troops coming there if he announces that. Thanks, that guy from Oregon, our member. Susan Wallach, our member, thank you. Suzanne Wallach, thank you, Suzanne. Guys, we have about 10 minutes until this press conference where President Trump announces new measures that he says are going to liberate D.C. He says it's going to end violent crime in D.C. A lot of big rhetoric from President Trump in recent days and this weekend about this big announcement he's going to make. Ernest Connell says unprecedented announcement incoming. Sarah Nova says none of this is normal. Mary Ann Sell says many homeless are victims of crime too. President Trump said this weekend homeless people are going to have to leave D.C. and go far away from the Capitol. How is that going to happen? What's he going to announce? Tina Marie says, getting about that time. Less than 10 minutes until it's supposed to start. I don't know if it'll start on time. You never know. My guess is probably it will not start on time, but you never know. Update, guys. Zachary Cohen of CNN reports. CNN's Zachary Cohen reports. We have a news update. News update. Zachary Cohen of CNN reports President Trump is expected to announce the activation of hundreds of D.C. National Guard troops this morning as part of his effort to address crime in the Capitol. Two U.S. officials tell, is it Haley Britsky and me? Haley Britsky and me. D.C. National Guard forces are expected to provide safety and security support to law enforcement, though officials said many of the operational specifics still remain unclear. So multiple reports say Trump will announce National Guard to D.C. in press conference. I'm going to change could to will, because I've now seen multiple reports. CNN and the New York Times both reporting it. Jeffrey says, that's great news, clean it up. Mrs. Ed says, so embarrassing for America. Thanks also to John Cassidy, who says, come to Philly next. About 7 minutes until the top of the hour, guys. Again, multiple outlets now reporting President Trump will announce that hundreds of National Guard troops are being sent to D.C. to help local law enforcement. Shout out to Aloso1375 for the gift subscribers on Twitch. Thank you, Aloso. That's really nice of you. Thanks, Faith Takes You Far on Twitch. And Politicseer T. Welt. And Lloyd Christmas on Twitch. And Larry Picklejar. And Jan Joel on Twitch. Thank you. And Johannes Bischoff from Hamburg, Germany. Thanks, Johannes, for your support. We got about 6 minutes till this press conference. President Trump says this is going to be Liberation Day for Washington, D.C. What is he going to announce? Get ready, everyone. Will it be challenged in court? Led Zepp says voted for all of this. Anon again says this is likely to provoke riots. Northwest Psych Fest says many homeless are veterans. Susan Priest Buchner says, how is sending them away helping them? I see more people coming in the room now, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, let me prepare also to do this. Hang on a moment. What I need to do is get the other angle prepared so we have both angles ready. So if I do this, okay, that's angle number 2. 2 angles here. 1 and 2. Oh, they're handing something out. What are they handing out? They're handing out a piece of paper. What's on the piece of paper? Guys, they're handing out a piece of paper. Maybe it has stuff on it about what he's going to announce. There's a piece of paper. Does it have, or does it have revelations about what he's going to announce or not? I don't know. I don't know how revelatory that piece of paper is. Hey, thanks, La Calma. La Calma thinks he will keep this up until he calls off midterms due to threats and unrest. That's what La Calma thinks. Thank you, La Calma. Guys, we have about 3 minutes. If it starts on time, it's looking like, kind of looking like a hive of activity in there. Thanks again to all of our moderators for being here. Oh, hey guys, Natasha Bertrand of CNN reports that around 800 National Guard troops could be deployed to D.C. That's according to Natasha Bertrand. She says around 800 National Guard troops could be deployed to D.C. Thank you also the Car Czar, who says crime is out of control. Clean up all American cities. Thanks the Car Czar for your support. All right, guys, about 2 minutes till the top of the hour. More papers coming in. I think she's going to hand out more papers, maybe. I don't know, though. Yes, more of these papers being handed out. I don't know what the paper says. UV says they will be late, of course. I want one of those papers. One of those little handouts. One of our viewers says maybe it's a map. Harper Ann said that. Wow. All right, guys. It's 9. It's about 1 minute until the top of the hour.
Last time.
Oh, there's a guy, white balance. Guy doing white balance. Guy doing white balance at the podium.
Everybody
for the camera. All right, guys. In about 20 seconds, it's 10 a.m. I'm gonna get rid of the clock in 20 seconds because we won't need it anymore. We're officially at the any moment now press conference. All right, any moment now press conference coming up. Let me get rid of the clock on this shot too. Here we go. Again, CNN is reporting that Trump will announce about 800 National Guard troops are going to Washington, D.C. S. Brown says Trump rarely starts on time. Ben Burr thinks it'll be 20 minutes from now. I don't know. They already did the handouts. They already gave out their handouts. I'm also looking for more updates here. One of our viewers, Michael T, says they looked poised. Lori Caldwell thinks this should be nauseating. Guy's doing a live update there on the AFP cam.
appeared to peak in 2023. We have seen a dip, but the president still believes that the crime in the district, the nation's capital, is still unacceptable. What do we expect to hear from the president today? One will be whether or not the National Guard will actually be deployed on the streets of D.C. Fox hearing up to 1,000 National Guard officials, troops will be made available, but whether that number holds or if it's rolled out all at once is yet to be seen. Over the weekend, we saw a number of federal law enforcement agencies, ICBP, FBI, ATF, out on the streets with D.C. Metro Police, also looking into what's happening on a daily basis. Just over the weekend in Navy Yard, it's a beautiful part of D.C., right near where the Washington Nationals play. We saw a fight break out, lots of teenagers, gunshots, and from that we also saw the city impose a juvenile curfew because so much of the focus data has been on the younger offenders.
This is the Fox News correspondent. This footage is not of him. This footage is footage of the room, and he happens to be talking on the footage. So the camera he's not mic'd for the camera I'm watching on. The camera just happens to be catching him on camera, talking to a different camera, talking to the Fox camera. So he is on Fox News right now. We just happen to be catching the report. He did say that Fox is saying up to 1,000 National Guard troops will be deployed.
It's something that Republicans up on the Hill have talked about for a long time, but may not have had the votes to do just that. D.C. has a Democratic mayor, Muriel Bowser, who had been critical of Trump in the past, especially after what happened in early in 2021. But since then, they seem to have found somewhat of a working relationship. She was on another network over the weekend, in which she said that the president would be in his authority to send the National Guard out to help with D.C. police, to help with law enforcement. But we've also heard from other D.C. officials, including the sole delegate of D.C. up on Capitol Hill, who believes she does not believe the president has such authority. So
a couple of quick thank yous here. Hey, thanks so much as we wait for this to start to Journey to the Center of Health. Thank you so much. Also, CJ Lars and PK. PK says no president should ever refer to the citizens they serve as filth and scum. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Any moment now, President Trump is going to announce his new policies on crime and homelessness and beautification in Washington, D.C. Many reports say he's going to announce National Guard troops being sent to Washington, D.C. We are going to bring you live coverage of the press conference, and afterwards we will hear what you have to say about it. They're clapping for him. See, they're doing their live hits, but like everybody else, the room's full, and so they have to do their live hits while everybody else in the room listens to them, you know? So they're doing them one by one on different channels. Hey, thanks to Trina Roque, and Nova Estrella. Thank you. Nova thinks something is definitely needed. My friend had her car stolen 8 times last year, and her insurance dropped her for it. That's what Nova Estrella said. Thank you, Nova and Trina. We're 5 minutes after 10. The press conference was supposed to start at 10. President Trump did say this weekend that homeless people would have to go far away from D.C. They would have to leave. How does that work? Is he going to say that the government is going to forcibly remove them from D.C.? Do they even have the legal ability to do that? I don't know. Jason Santoro said he was shocked and disgusted when he visited D.C. during Trump's first term. Clean it up. The room is waiting. The room is waiting. Our viewer Amthog thinks forcing homeless people to relocate will only make their situation worse. Rich M says this should be interesting. President Trump has called this Liberation Day for D.C. He has said he's going to, he said today, crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. He also said a couple days ago that this news conference would, he said, this press conference will essentially stop violent crime in D.C. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Jonathan says the left used the FBI to label conservatives terrorists and white supremacists. Calling criminals scum is fine. Let's have a longer memory here, folks. That's what our viewer Jonathan said. Thanks to our mods who are here. Quick thanks, Sabrina, shout out. She's modding on YouTube. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes over there on Facebook. Thank you. 13 Alamo, Big Ball of Yarn, I got that fire, Papa Bear Twitch. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha moderate for us on X. Thanks, Be Like Music, for your support. Any moment now, President Trump press conference. Coming up, guys. A different reporter is talking now. Josh Wingrove posted that the Trump, they gave out a handout a few minutes ago to the reporters. Josh Wingrove is a reporter with Bloomberg, and he says the handout is a 3-page packet that highlights recent arrests in D.C. I will post a link to Josh Wingrove's post, but that's what he said. He said the handout is a 3-page packet that highlights recent arrests in D.C. Thanks, Evelyn in Maine, our member. Hey, they're clapping for that guy, too. Thanks to Temi Dank for the memberships. Thanks, Ravenheart on Twitch for subscribing. Thanks, Flumpingtons on Twitch for your support. Massachusetts guy on Twitch, thank you. Dark Crypto 800, thank you. AMC Jeep MJ, thanks on Twitch. And CC. Also, Blunt Blowin, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. President Trump supposedly will announce a crackdown on crime in D.C. and I guess homelessness too. Thank you, Ryan Antonoff. Thank you, Ryan, for your support. We will take your comments after the press conference and hear what you thought. And I do wonder if Mayor Bowser might speak after the press conference. There is a protest going on in D.C. But maybe we'll check in on that later. It's not the video I'm seeing of it. It's not like a huge protest at this moment, and nobody's being violent or anything. But I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe if it's still going on after the briefing, we'll watch it. Pokemon fan says, "How long for it to start?" I don't know. Any time now. It's supposed to start at 10. Obi Cannoli, thank you. Obi thinks it's another big theater distraction from Epstein, Palestine, and tariffs. Mark Seagraves of NBC4 Washington says multiple sources tell NBC Washington the D.C. National Guard has been contacted by the White House to prepare for a possible activation. Thanks so much, Ann Walter. Ann says, not so long ago, cleaning up and making the Capitol safe would have been considered a good thing. Thank you, Ann, for your support. Thank you also, Tenaj. Tenaj asked about the Epstein files, why Trump won't release them. That's a little off topic right now, Tenaj. We can't really get into that right now. That would be kind of a digression. But if there's big developments on that story, we will cover it. Thank you, Tenaj, for your support. Thank you, Vet, our new member as well. We're waiting for President Trump's announcement of new policies to crack down on crime and homelessness in D.C. any moment now. President Trump is calling this Liberation Day for D.C. It is 10:15, guys. The room is reportedly full there in the press briefing room. People are waiting for Trump.
It's just me.
Do they look ready back there?
Yeah. No.
We just have to wait and see. Yeah, I usually come on before the event so we can talk about it. We had some time discussing what's going to happen. Thanks to We the Rabble for your support. Thank you, We the Rabble.
My big head's not gonna block anything.
President Trump posted on True Social a couple hours ago saying that Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. He said, savagery, filth, and scum and crime will disappear. I will make our capital great again. He said, Liberation Day in D.C., we are taking our capital back. I see a door open. That guy's looking around, and he's going back in. But the door is open. Oh, now it's closing. But it's not totally closed, but now it's closed. Mama 457 Rose thinks it's about time. Again, I may switch the camera angle when he comes in. So if that happens, you might notice a little switch when it starts. Thanks, George Rourke from Bali Mina, George says. Thanks, George, for your support. I'm waiting just like you guys. I want to see what he says. As I mentioned, there are multiple outlets saying that the National Guard, he will announce National Guard troops to D.C. Richard, our viewer, says, how much will this cost? P.A. Rambler says, will the door open again? It is now 10:18. The official start time was 10. One of our viewers, Sven Kier, says, what is the cost of out-of-control crime in D.C.? What's happening? Mary Collier says, not clear why this is happening now. Some speculate that it was set off by the attempted carjacking of a staffer for the Department of Government Efficiency around a week ago. But it's unclear. Thank you to Christopher Robbins.
They made no official announcement, so I don't know whatever you heard. So it's still a standby. Thank you very much.
No one, people are trying to figure out when it's starting. They're trying to figure out when it's starting.
Today that I'm going to ask the president. You're going to love it. Everybody in there will love it. They'll applaud it.
Fudge says Trump likes to make the media wait. Thanks to Tom Witcher, our member. 10:21 now. I am waiting just like you for Trump to come out and announce his new policies on D.C. crime and homelessness. And also beautification, he said. I missed it. Some of our viewers said the podium rose a bit. Did they adjust the podium? One of our viewers thinks he is enjoying a Diet Coke before the press conference. Ed O'Keefe posted a photo from the briefing room saying it was very crowded. A very crowded briefing room. I just posted a link in the chat to it. Oh, thanks to Christopher Robbins. Thanks, Christopher, for your support. Might be hot in there today. I don't know. Any moment now, President Trump, DC crime press conference, guys. Any moment now. Will he announce some attempted federal takeover of D.C. in some sense? Will he take questions? Julie thinks that lawyers are already filing briefs behind the scenes. Thank you, Mama, for 57 Rose. I appreciate it. We are bringing you live coverage here. Adam Bertucci thinks by beautification he means banning the homeless. Everybody's just waiting. Everybody's just waiting. The people in that room have probably been there a while, because they probably have to get there early. It is 10:25. Raven Knight says, waiting, waiting, waiting. Adam J. Galaxy says, I don't think he's coming out. No, I think he's going to come out. Thanks, Eliza Jane, for your support. Thank you, Eliza Jane. One of our viewers said he's going to come out in 5 minutes. Thank you, Zach A. It's so quiet in there. Cindy Coker says, well, question mark. Steve Rolfe says they should all get up and go. Thanks, Peasy Wheats, our member. The Weather Buff, thanks for being a member. I'm waiting just like you guys. I want to see what he's going to say. Chuck House thinks he will be cranky. $10.28, guys. Did they just say something? Thank you, Kathleen Becker, as well. Thanks, Ronald Farha, our member. It was supposed to start at 10. It is now 10:28. Irish Sweetness says he is making them sweat. Marielle says, I don't care if it's the president, it's rude. Some of our viewers think it will start at 10:30, which is in 2 minutes. Joshua White thinks he's coming out at 10:30. I didn't hear, I thought somebody said something, but I didn't specifically hear a 2-minute warning, so. Golden Dusty thinks mass arrests are incoming, but maybe they said too many warnings. I didn't hear it myself. Uh-oh. Somebody dropped something or spilled something? AZ Intel says WRC-TV claimed that Pam Bondi will be at the press conference. Again, AZ Intel says WRC-TV says Pam Bondi will be there, the Attorney General. Thank you, Justin Kiever. Thanks so much, Justin. I appreciate that. Thanks to all of our moderators who are in our chat rooms. Thank you. Zana Santiago says this whole thing is insane. Julie says that room is extremely crowded. Crowded in like sardines. Paul Will says, hurry it up. It is now 10:30. It is now 10:30. It's 10:30. Thank you, Jonathan, for your support. It is now 10:30. The official start time was 10. Hoover Maneuver, thanks for being a member. It's 10:31. The people who said 10:30 were not correct, because it is now 10:31. Seal 57 says 10:30 and still nothing. Joe Webb says it's like visiting a doctor's office. Assault Rabbit says anticipation. Again, multiple reports say he will announce National Guard troops going to D.C. He had said on social media that homeless people were going to have to leave D.C. Is he going to announce something about that? Thanks, Vindog Radio, for your support. The chat is proposing different times now. Thanks, Ronald Farha. And David Fisher. Thank you, David Fisher, for your support. Oh my gosh. And Lucchini AP. We're all waiting. The country is waiting to see what he'll say. Not the whole country. I think a lot of people are going to watch this, though. 10:32 now. 10:32 a.m. Thank you, Adventurer, for your support. Joe Webb, thank you. Timido1, thank you. Zico Bito on Twitch, thank you. Dark Crypto, Jcon, Ravenheart. Faith Takes You Far, Flumpingtons, thank you. Sherry Baker, thanks for being a member. 10:33. I bet it's hot in there. There's a lot of people in there. Close quarters. I bet it's hot. I see people fanning themselves. When was it scheduled? 10 a.m. was the official start time. Seeing if I see any of the reports about what he's going to say. I'm not seeing it at the moment. Catherine Gold, our viewer, thinks it'll be at 10:45. Rita is wondering if he will take questions. That I do not know. Thanks, Mitchell Pilot. Mitchell Pilot says the room is small. He has been in it. I'm sorry for the wait. I cannot control when the press conference starts. Thank you, Scott Wheeler, our member. Logan YouTube says he always takes questions. Now, is he still deciding what to say? Or is that not why they're waiting? Wally thinks it'll be 10:50. We're at 10:35 now. Austin Batman thinks he will take questions. Oh, guys, I'm looking at this right now. Politico reports that the White House plans to activate around 800 National Guard troops.
2 minutes until the briefing.
2-minute warning. They all said yay. People said yay. 2 minutes. 2-minute warning. Politico says the White House will activate around 800 National Guard troops, by the way. You just heard it. 2-minute warning just given. Here we go. Am I going to regret putting the word now in the headline 5 minutes from now when it hasn't started yet? No, I think they're going to start. Again, I might have to switch the camera angle right when it starts, but Any moment now. Here we go. Again, Politico is saying the White House plans to activate around 800 National Guard troops and send them to D.C. to support local law enforcement. Zana Santiago says, here we go. We already heard the 2-minute warning. Guys, supposedly it's about to start. Supposedly. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Secretary of Defense Hegseth's there. Pam Bondi is there. All right, we'll see what President Trump has to say. We're still waiting. Here we go. Here he is.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work. It's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said 0 for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America, really. It's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead, with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. A Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day They're in ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police. As the police are standing up there in uniform, they're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central: no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote, because the Democrats are weak on crime, totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill. Got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country. They're starting to figure it out, how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history. So many things. But we'll be able to get that done. So, Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people, I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote, because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they just got walloped in an election, in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day the certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They said it's an 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue. And I don't know who the three are. I've never heard nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it. But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction. That's the other thing. We have to get rid of sanctuary cities as quickly as possible. We're going to do it, too. We have to. Because it's sanctuary for criminals. Releasing illegal alien gang members onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they want more police. I heard a number, 3,500 police. That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say, we only have 30 policemen or women. He said, we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I'd never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said, there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country in the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job. And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designers said, well, we need a 1/4 of an inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it done quickly. So today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia. And Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy, because you'd be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the streets. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership. They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals. And these are bad people. These are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the D.C. streets this weekend. They were rough and tough. But we're rougher and tougher. Look at these people here. Nothing, you know. They're not going to be your local school teacher. Look at this guy. He has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words, because he's in charge, as you know. He's Interior, but he's in charge of the U.S. Park Police. And I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about, that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know, that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout D.C. are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making D.C. safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps. And President Trump also talked about beautification. They're stopping and enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership, and they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you. Very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military, if you would?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own, and we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all DC police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful, and as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job. People are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President. Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. D.C. should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the president said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gaddy Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge. And she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf a few days ago, the area of the wharf, Terry Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families and tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench. In the middle of families around, they administered Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up D.C., and we're going to be there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Cash, talk about Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General, and the rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops, and I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops. Let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions. And that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami. These guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cash. So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend, and we confronted a lot of very bad people. But it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, we've got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. We're getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 D.C. National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person, a person who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent, but I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen. And that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. And we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful, so beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I have never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, I mean, this was a D.C. news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. A person who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. And she did great. She was on, along with a couple of other of my friends, on the #1 show. And she did great. But this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to introduce to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. You know, we have some open spots, and we're going to take people because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, that's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some, Pam recommended, Todd recommended, some judges that are great. Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we can probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens. And it starts today. But it's not going to end today because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the State Attorney General, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids because I can't arrest them. I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Janine.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long. And I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you. So, just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control and they started trying to rip down statues, and I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast, but we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. In other words, slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. There you get jailed 10 years. No curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because, you know, it's harsh. And you remember they started to rip down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the ropes started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. They're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you touch, so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just left. And that was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild, and somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you an exact because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay if you're soft, weak, and pathetic like so many people? I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. but we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say maybe if you could. Oh wow, we could be here all day long. If you could, if we could keep the first questions perhaps to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing the pride of what D.C. is, and do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders, they're all wanting to come. And I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But I was, a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% is already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country in the world right now. The tariffs have helped. It's given us not only the money, it's billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars with Pakistan and India. We just solved one. Azerbaijan and, as you know, and Armenia. A war was raging for 37 years. And the 2 leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done and got it done. And I said to the 2 men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war, and you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have, when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know, the metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it. And it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet, I don't think. Gaddy, we're not quite there yet, but maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
Mr. President, sorry.
Question for you on the specific issue. Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, LA, San Francisco, would they expect similar action what we've seen in DC? And the other question, sir, there's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but you know, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it, some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next, I would say, over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical, and I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medical and, for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things. But for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, I mean, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll clean up, and maybe they'll do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. I mean, if you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's going to be. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. Everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A. is watching. That mayor also. The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there. And I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. Their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing, like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered. Almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately, Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we could have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street, and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years? Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately, 2 years. And she drew it back, well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get, and it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched the other day, those people are angry. And now, they had tremendous They loved that area. They loved the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff, and some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods, was incredible. And you know what? I watch people on television, they want to go, they want to leave. They've lost their spirit, they've lost their heart, because the mayor's incompetent, and Gavin Newsom is incompetent. He's got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, you know, it's amazing. You know, I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And by a rare thing that happened, I'll be the president. I was very upset because I got the Olympics there, and I said I won't be president when it comes. But bad things happened, and illegal things happened, really illegal things happened. Now it turns out one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope 250 is going to be, the 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people, and I saw last night on television that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thank you. The China tariff deadline is tonight. Do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
President, you mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you'll consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. It would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. You know, it's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that, you know. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard it. Biggest pipeline in the world. I stopped it. I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build a pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, you know. So this is really a feel-out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold, that's cold. But it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And you know, there's nobody from here. They're all Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the cities, much smaller number, but still, those missiles do damage and they kill a lot of people, but mostly soldiers. And they're young soldiers, although in the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older. They're drafting 60-year-olds now. It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think I have an obligation. Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately, actually. We don't pay anything anymore. You know, we're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%. And they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin And I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office, the auto pen took office, bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said. And it ended up in a war. And you know, and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, you know, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, you know, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody to the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex because you have lines that are very uneven. And there'll be some swapping. There'll be some changes in land. And the word that they will use is, you know, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean, you know, in real estate we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, you know, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Do you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud. Some commander made a better you know, they would have been in Kiev in 4 hours going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first. And then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting. Or I may say, we can make a deal. I will tell you this. I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. You know, everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it. It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place. And he went through 1 week of war, and I was able to get the deal done. He said, this is nasty. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to follow up on what you were saying there. First of all, Volodymyr Zelensky is not invited on Friday?
He wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings. You know, he's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened.
And what is the definition?
I mean, do you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is. Because there could be many definitions. You know, you're talking about a very large and complex situation. Now, I tell you, the war that I just settled with Azerbaijan and with, as you know, in Armenia was almost as complex as this one, having to do with routes, trade.
Meeting on Friday with Vladimir Putin.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Yeah,
please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced or advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
No, obsolete. No.
Obsolete chip. Well, and then 15% of the profits.
You mean the 20s? No. This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it and even then some. Now Jensen Jensen's a very brilliant guy, and Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things. But it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiate a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give it to you, because they have a, they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. It's really known as a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something, because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the H-20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country, and we'll give them 20% less than we have. You know what I mean, right? That's the same.
So on Russia, do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should your meeting go well, should there be peace?
I do, yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If Vladimir Putin would go toward business instead of toward war, you know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we, and they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right, from Hungary, the head of Hungary, and he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. That was a very interesting statement. China's not beating us with trade, not when I'm in charge, but they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. They found last month, as you saw, $25 billion of excess cash flow. They're saying, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called tariffs, and we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. Complex war, a lot of bad blood, But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this, ultimately I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or won't be there. And I think it'll get solved. Yeah, please be happy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, I'm going to suggest, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be. Wait. These are incredible people. I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects that. Does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys can leave. Okay. A question, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on D.C., and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I agree.
Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about D.C. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars, right. Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll after you answer that, please.
You want me to answer it?
Whoever wants to take it.
Okay. It's real. Do you want me to answer it? Go ahead. Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the D.C. Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Okay, Mr. Question.
Pam, would you answer that also?
Yeah, and just back to that topic, let's be clear though, we're going to charge them and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them, because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
Mr. President, you also made the comment. You made the comment you walked out here. This is the most people we've ever seen in this briefing.
I've never seen
ever, right?
I've never seen any. Where's Caroline? Where's my superstar? Caroline. Is Caroline in the back? Where's Caroline? Come here, Caroline. Come here, Caroline. Come here. Is she doing a good job, by the way? Come here, Caroline. Is this the largest crowd that you've ever seen?
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Mr. President, I have a better idea.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
My question is this. You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room, updated technology, more seats?
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So no, I don't want to make life comfortable. So look. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally. I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually, and they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Would you talk to them before?
Mr. President.
Yeah, I did. I'm talking to them right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for D.C. more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, you know, we have a couple of days to go. But the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
Madam Attorney General, the Justice
Epstein decision today, Mr. President?
How long will the takeover of DC police last?
We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have another
Neighborhoods
briefing.
will see the National Guard on their streets.
All of them.
Okay, so that was President Trump announcing the big headlines from that are that he said he was placing the DC police under federal control, and he is deploying, I think he said, about 800 National Guard troops to DC to fight crime there. We're going to talk about this, but I do want to mention, sorry, I was taking a few minutes here and keeping an eye on a different news story which is going on, which is there has been an explosion at the U.S. Steel Coke Works plant, I think it is, in Clairton, Pennsylvania. And I first heard about this from AZ Intel. Thanks, AZ Intel. And it's being reported that there could be a number of injuries at this at this U.S. Steel plant explosion. This is at the U.S. Clairton Coke Works plant in Clairton, Pennsylvania. So I just want to keep an eye on that as well. Kind of doing two things at once here. Actually, I know this is off topic, but I could really quickly just check the scanner for that. So I know it's off topic, but it's some breaking news that came out as we were watching the press conference. According to Broadcastify, a level 2 mass casualty incident was declared. So let me just take a second and put on the scanner and just see what's on it. If you guys will allow me to do that. Hang on a second here. I haven't really had a chance to listen because I was listening to the press conference. So I'm sorry to kind of interrupt the topic, but...
He's getting ready to start his dog now. Pour him out.
Let's just listen for a second.
Copy.
Hang on one second here. This is a scanner from broadcastify.com. And there's like...
470 SS1.
Give me one moment.
470 SS1. Also be advised, we do have SF-15 responding from Washington.
I'm just trying to get a sense of this incident. And where they're at in terms of handling it. Again, this is it's the U.S. Steel Coke Works plant in Clairton, Pennsylvania. There has been an explosion there, and some outlets say it is a mass casualty incident. WTAE reported that multiple people were injured. Oh, Governor Shapiro said the scene is still active.
Stand by in the station 161, station 183, second announcement.
Hey guys, so what I'm wondering is, should we start a new stream to talk about the explosion? I don't have a great... I mean, it seems like it's certainly a big deal. I don't know that I'll have any video of it, but I'm wondering if maybe we should just do a different stream and talk about that. So, yeah, maybe we'll do that. So I think what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to really quickly, as quickly as I can, start a new stream. Okay? No, I don't want to just change the headline. I want to start a new stream because we already had this stream going on. So give me about 5-10 minutes. By the way, just really quick, let me thank a couple people who I thanked in the chat. Andrew Schlegel, Steve B, Bama Fan, Damp, F Hammer, GDHHR, SGHR, Hebrew Jerusalem Prince, The Vladinator, PK, Doc No 27, Marnie Gamer, Chris, Carrier Kyle, Captain Obvious, Super Freeze, The Vladinator, Crazy Yoda, Obi Cannoli, thank you, Kate89. I just owed a couple people thank you. Joe Webb, Joe Alvarenga. Hopefully I thanked everybody else in the chat. I'm going to come back and do that. Manimal Motion on Twitch, Little Lamb, Dark Crypto, Timido1. Thank you to all of our moderators. So what I'm going to do is let me get off the air fast and start a new stream fast, okay? That's my plan, okay? I'm going to do that. So I'll be back in a few minutes. I just got to get off the air and just set that stream up, okay? So hopefully you guys can, hopefully we can be back on the air in a few minutes, and I'll see you then. Sorry to really rush off, but I want to just get on the air and cover that, okay? So, thank you for joining our live coverage of this, the announcement about DC. I'm sorry to rush off, but I do think we should get on and cover that. All right, so that's it for now. I'm going to go set that up, and I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll see you soon with more. And thank you again to all of our moderators here, Roberts May Queen, and 13 Alamo, Big Ball of Yarn, DeBears, I Got That Fired, Matthew Kohai 3, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Valerie Gale Griffin, Shannon Davis Hughes, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, and all of our other moderators. Okay, let me wrap this up. I'm going to try to get another stream on right away, and I'll probably see you in a few minutes, okay? So thanks, and we'll hopefully see you soon.